Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope that everybody's okay. And this is our sixth meeting in the standardized test of structure. I hope that everyone still happy, still have spirit to have a discussion with me, with Mr. Hari, regarding this class of standardized test of structure. Okay. Well, this meeting, we are going to discuss adjective clause, right? In the previous meeting, we have already discussed about dependent clause, independent clause, right? And today we are going to make it more specific. We are going to discuss about adjective clause. So everybody knows about adjective clause. Do you have any idea about it? No? If no, I'm going to talk about it with you now. Okay, let's start with the description, okay? Well, as the description maybe, we can say that adjective clauses are the way of joining two sentences. Remember, when we are talking about adjective clauses, it is the joining two sentences. In the join sentence, of course, the adjective clause modifies or describes a noun called the head noun in another clause of the sentence. Because as you know, right, the function of the adjective itself is to describe or to explain or modify the noun. So that's why the same function as an adjective as usual, adjective clause also modifies a noun. And it begins with an adjective clause marker. Here, I'll give you the example here. Like the sentence, there are two sentences, right? I wanted the books, and the book had already been checked out. Okay, now from these two sentences, we can make it, or we can join these two sentences into one, and we can make the second sentence into the adjective clause. You can see that the book that I wanted had already been checked out. So it means that the book that I wanted, it means that I wanted the book. So that I wanted here means this is uh, a clause, I mean adjective clause, explaining or modifies the nouns the book here. And had already been checked out is the independent clause, uh, still the same pattern with the book. If we can remove this, I mean this adjective clause, we can remove that. For example, the book had already been checked out, so it means that I wanted is the adjective explaining the book itself, the book that I wanted. So that's why it's called an adjective clauses. Okay, you got it right. Now let's go to the next example here. Okay, in adjective clauses usually there are some conjunction that we can use, right? And here I can show you some conjunction that can be used, like who, whom, whose, which, that, where, when, etc. Actually there are still more of them. However, I think it's it's enough for me to just mention this example, and after that you can watch that, learn by yourself later on. And then when we are talking about who, for example, here this is talking about subject. So basically, when there is an adjective clause using the marker who or the conjunction who, of course it's going to describe the subject as a people. For example, can you see on the right side of this table, right? A neurologist is the doctor who specializes in the nervous system. Specialized in the nervous system here is a clause here, and it's describing doctor or modifies doctor. Doctor as a noun, specifically as a people or a person, okay? And then there is also whom, and usually it's for object, like the example here. This is the patient whom the doctor treated. Whom here, what is that? Explaining the object. This example is the object, and this object here is also the people. The patient whom the doctor treated means that the doctor treated the patient, okay? And then there is also marker whose. Here it's kind of possessive adjective, like for example, Mr. Colin is the man whose house is I rented. It means that this house belongs to the man or Mr. Colin, because Mr. Colin is the man here, right? So the house which belong to the man or Mr. Colin itself. So that's why when we are using whose, it means that we are talking about possessive things. And then next one is which, and which here usually it can be with subject or object, especially focusing on things, not human, benda, right? That is a topic which interests me. Topic here is a noun, right? Not the person. So that's why the marker that can be used is which, not who, not whom. Okay. And then when we have also that, and this marker of that is more, what is that? It's more flexible. It can be used for subject, it can be used for object, whether it is people or even things. So that's why that is more flexible. It can be put in any kind of use. For example, here that I show you, the painting that Miss Wallace bought was very expensive. It means that Mrs. Wallace bought blah 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 is the, what is that? Sorry, that Miss Wallace bought is the adjective, and this explain the painting. Painting here is the things, yeah, benda, yeah. So that's why. And the next one is where. Of course, when we are having marker where, of course it's going to be the adverb of place. When we are talking about when, of course it's going to be adverb of time. For example, here is the site where the bank plans to build its new headquarters. And the next one, when we are talking about when, this is the hour when the children usually go to bed, right? So it's quite clear when we are using where and when. Of course, it must be the use of it is used for explaining the place or time. Okay. And then let's take a look at another example here. In this example, we have here the painting was very expensive. Miss Wallace bought it. Of course, we can say it by the painting which Miss Wallace bought was very expensive. Means that which Miss Wallace bought blah 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 is explaining the painting. Maybe there are some error that maybe should be corrected. For example, here there is an incorrect statement using which the painting that Miss Wallace bought is very expensive. This is a topic that it interests me. Okay, can you see that these two sentences are incorrect? Because when we are using, what is that? That here, wait a minute. Let me show you the problem here. Okay, this one. Here, the problem is in here. The painting that Miss Wallace bought, it was very expensive. You know what? We don't need to put it here because, of course, that Miss Wallace bought was very expensive means the explaining the painting. So we do not have to mention it. When we are putting it here, it means that it will be double nouns, right? So it will be the problem. Like the second sentence here is almost the same case. This is a topic that it interests me. Topic interests me. So it means that we do not have to put it again here. So that's why it's incorrect. We should not put another, what is that, noun to make it the sentence. I mean to make the adjective clause here. Now I think it's the same. Now let's take a look at here in the example of the question. I do really like for giving you example of question, especially in the form of the full test, since we are focusing on standardized test of structure. So we are not only talking about, what is that, theoretical or theory. However, we are going to discuss it more in the form of question or example of multiple choices, whether multiple choices or maybe error recognition, right? Okay, the first example is, let's take a look at that. Cable cars are moved by cables blah 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 underground and are powered by stationary engine. Can you guess what the answer for this? That's right, it should be D. Why? Of course, like this one, cables are moved by cable. This is blah blah blah, and then until engine here it's an adjective clause, so that's why we need the marker, and that's why we need between that and that here. And can A and C, of course, is incorrect. And then, like what I told you before, when we have already cables here, we don't need to have they here. It will be double. I mean double things. Cables and they. Of course, we cannot do that. So that's why the best answer must be D. Okay, right? And then another example here. The melting point is the temperature, blah blah blah, a solid change to the liquid. Okay, what do you think about this answer? Can you guess it? Yes, this is D, at. Why it's at? Let's take a look at this. The melting point is the temperature, blah blah blah, solid changes to liquid. The melting point. Do you know the meaning of the melting point? The melting point is just like the yeah, titik, apa namanya itu, melting, titik, titik cair, bukan titik beku ya, titik cair. Is the temperature. It means that the temperature. It means that there is what is that? For example, 100 degree, 90 degree, 10 degree, 0 degree, or minus 10 degree. So that's why when it's about melting point, it seems like it is the number, the place. So that's why we have to use at here. At a solid changes to liquid. The melting point is the temperature at solid changes to liquid. Okay, here's the example. Here's the explanation. A is incorrect because a preposition is needed before the adjective clause, right? And C is incorrect because the relative pronouns comes before the preposition. Choice D is incorrect because the relative pronoun has been omitted. Okay, here is the another example for today. Let's take a look at this. The melting point is the temperature, blah blah blah, a solid changes to a liquid. Okay, can you guess what's the best answer for this question? Okay, what do you think about this? Okay, that's right. The answer must be B, right? Why? There's the explanation here. Choice A is incorrect because a preposition is needed before the adjective clause, while choice C is incorrect because the relative pronoun comes before the preposition. And then, while choice D is incorrect because the relative pronoun has been omitted. So that's why the best answer for this example of the question must be B. Okay, at which, so basically the sentence should be the melting point is the temperature at which a solid changes to a liquid. Okay, now here is the last example that I'm going to show you this time. There are 6 types of flamingo. All blah 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 have long legs, long necks, and beaks that curve sharply downwards. So what do you think about this? There we go. It must be C, of which there are 6 types of flamingo, all of which have long legs, long neck, and beaks. Okay. Choice A and D do not contain connecting words, right? So that's why we have to make sure that what is that? It's not enough when it's only of them or they, because there is no connecting words for joining the clauses. And then B does not follow the correct pattern of relative clause after the quantity words. So basically the correct pattern needed to complete the sentence is quantity words of and marker. So that's why the best choices for this example must be C, right? And then okay, well, I'm sure that you still have wondering what is that, a lot of example or a lot of question regarding to this adjective clauses. After this, you can go to the activity parts of this open learning, and I have already provided some example and activity that you can do. Okay, well, I think that's all for this explanation. Please, you can go to the activity parts. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.